Okay, the Rules Committee is going to proceed. So if the Rules Committee members in the room would please come forward, sit in the front row so we can get a count and find if we got a quorum, please. That means you, Deborah. She's ignoring me. Leslie is ignoring me too. Hey, Steve, I need Leslie. Turn her loose. Set her free. All right, the Rules Committee for this meeting is going to gavel in. I'd ask Virgil Cruz to read the roster, see if we have a quorum.
Yeah, and if we could have the Rules members come up close to the front so that it's easier for us to get our work done. Chairman Jim Pickle is here. Vice Chair Steve Evans is right there. Leslie Thomas, Melinda Morris, Dale Inman, Matt Patrick, Deborah Feit, looking at you. Kristen Bentley was just in the room. She's here. Oh, she's there. You're here. Kristen, you're here. And Chuck Burnett. And Mr. Chair, you've got 5 out of 9 voting members, which is a majority.
Okay, so we're going to try to get this done quickly, but efficiently and correctly. I know those things don't always go together, but we are going to, first order of business is we are going to take up the non-substantive or barely substantive changes to the bylaws so that we can get them in some kind of a format where they can be posted on the website and actually be useful. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the bylaws draft on the screens. These were all sent to you 11 days ago, now 10 days ago now, I guess. So you should have, if you printed it, you would have a printed copy of these. And these bylaw changes or non-substantive changes were approved. Most of them were approved at the convention. And so what you have in these color scheme that we have in front of you is if the change is gray, that was approved at the May 25th convention. This is the document we noticed, except it's got colors in it. I'm explaining that. We're going to present this to the body when we finish getting it done today, yes.
What's noticed is in green and the secretary.
I've got like the rest of my instructions here. It's all going to be taken care of. Trust me. Okay. I know. Okay. All right, just give me a chance. All right, if it's in green, like you see there on the top of the page, that is Steve Evans and my suggestions for today, and these are the non-substantive changes. They were also already included. The blue is parts of the bylaws that were not in the May 25th bylaws, and those are also noticed. So that's what we're going to vote on today. The pink is the state rules, right? Standing rules that were also not in the May 25th thing, which we're going to try to approve today. The yellow is just Virgil's notes, grammar, numbering, punctuation, things like that. And then today, in orange is what's going to be what we're going to get done today. Does that make sense? Well, they won't be final. Right, and then we'll put it together for the body tomorrow. Okay. All right. So, again, everything that's in gray was already approved at the May 25th convention, so we don't need to do anything about that. The first place that we're going to go where it has a non-substantive change is Article 2, Section 1 on the purpose. And it says, the purpose of the SREC is to act as the governing body of the Republican Party of Texas, which is then parenthetically abbreviated as RPT throughout the document, and exercise the powers conferred upon it by the state or federal statutes. I took out and fulfill those duties and responsibilities because, again, we've taken out the election code, so we don't want any duties and responsibilities that are conferred upon us by state law. We're going to do this ourselves. We'll follow the law, but we're not going to let them tell us how to do it. Do you want to do it strike and replace each one? Is that the way to do it? Okay, so yeah, do we have a motion to accept the striking out of the words in green on Article 2.1? Okay, is there any objection? Okay, we'll just do it without objection. Okay, so that's accepted. Okay, moving on. Yep. We debated back and forth. We were on the Rules Committee last time between chair and chairman, vice chair and vice chairman. It's so many times in the rules and in the bylaws chairman, so I just changed it all to chairman throughout and took out the words chair alone and vice chair. Any objection to that? Okay. Next one, section 2 on elections. Again, it's just changing chair to chairman and vice chair to vice chairman. Since there wasn't any objection before, I assume there's none there. Okay, go. Is there some blue above that, or is that gray? Yes, section 3. Would you like to address that, Steve? Might be easier for you to see that one. I don't know, maybe. Sorry, you did what?
This is in bylaws, though. You had said you might fold it into the standing rule. Okay, so.
Okay, so we'll just remove that section and we'll just do it in standing rules instead. That makes more sense anyway. That's what we're doing. We're deleting it. And we're going to renumber, I guess, section 4, 5, 6 because we're taking out 3. Okay. All right. Well, all right. May 25th, right? Okay. So section 3 will be deleted without objection. Anybody objects to that? Again, it's going to be in the standing rules, so we don't need it both places. Section 3. The next one currently showing is section 5 vacancies. Again, that's chair and vice chair again. And we changed the word. I can't see that. Okay. Yeah, we're going to just, this is not necessarily grammar. I mean, the words are almost synonymous, not quite. But I think the intent is that they attest instead of record it. So that's a suggestion I made. And any objection to that? Change the word. Okay. And again, everything in here changes from chair to chairman, vice chair to vice chairman. I assume there's no objection to that because we want it to be consistent, right? So we just skip over all those if they appear again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just talked about that. Yeah.
That's for me. Like, I'll get it in there once the correct way.
Yes. We're taking 3 out because it's going to be in the standing rules and it would be redundant to have it in the bylaws as well. done with this. Yes. Okay. And Matt Patrick showed up too. Oh, okay, Melinda. Okay. Oh, we really almost have 4. We're just missing Dale Inman. Pretty good. Okay. All right. Moving on. Article 3 at the end, when we're talking about honorary members, I just put in there that it's confusing whether an honorary member can speak at a meeting or not. So I just put in there they can speak with the permission of the chairman. I assume there's no objection to that. If it gets out of control, you have to trust the chairman to, rein it in. Can't imagine our honorary member is going to do that, but. Sorry, I can't hear you, Matt. Yes. Well, I think organizations would include partnerships and coalitions. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. I mean, that technically that's a capitalized term. These organizations, that may be throwing him off. Is organizations defined anywhere?
The title it's capitalized, but then there it's not. So I think it's a generic organization. That's how I.
Well, and in the title, the sentence or phrase in a section like that is almost always the first word or first letter in the words are capitalized, even if they're not in the body like they are here. So that's why it's a capital O, I think. Any objection to allowing the speaker to, or the chairman to allow honorary members to speak? Okay. Was it in the? This is just a timing thing that we need to probably put in there, and if we don't do it now, we'll have to do it in December. It's not noticed. Is it out of order, Steve? Okay, it's out of order. We'll have to move. That we need to talk about those. Yeah, that's what we need to talk about, because there were some omissions that didn't get into the May 25th, inadvertent omissions. So we'll talk about that probably more tomorrow. No, this is one where I'm just trying to put some kind of criteria on when this meeting happens or when the notice goes out. So that would have to be, I guess, in December. We'll have to add that in because it's not part of the call. I think it's probably. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably, it's probably non-controversial, but we're going to follow the rules. So what's the next one? Those are yours. That's yours. Oh, and this just makes this whole sentence just start with a non-capitalized word must, because clearly it was a scrivener's error to leave that out. But it's out, so we're going to have to put it back in. The first words there. Notice of meetings. I think so.
Article 5, Section 2.
Meetings, yeah. Wait, go back to that one. The one I sent out to everybody does have those words in it. A written call containing notice of the meeting must be mailed and postmarked by the U.S. Postal Service. That is in the ones that went out to everybody.
The document that Steve Evans sent me at the organizational omitted the words.
But it's in the call today, so we can add it today. Oh, because it's not in the call. It's not noticed as new language, Jim. Yeah, that was just a. Yes, of course. Right. It's 2/3 next time. Right. Right. What we did not, version past the convention eliminated those rules. A written call containing notice of the meeting. Those words are missing, and it just starts with must be mailed. Well, that's what Virgil's telling me. Yeah, what? Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about actually 3 documents. There is a document that was passed by the SREC at the organizational meeting, and that's actually what's on the screen right now. So you can see that what was passed, the sentence starts with must. Clearly, it wasn't intended to start with must. When I went back to the version that was pre-organizational, the rest of that sentence is in there, but it was left off. Now, it made it into the noticed document, but it wasn't part of what passed on May 25th. I mean, that's the document that was sent to me by Mr. Evans at the organizational. That's a different document. So the document that's on the screen is the document that actually passed the SREC on May 25th. I mean, I didn't get that document till the organizational itself. So I did not get that document till the organizational itself, and you're looking at it. I downloaded that. I've checked to make sure that that was the version of the document passed. So, I mean, I can open the email that was sent to me at the organizational, and that document comes from that email. That's a different document. That was sent subsequently with the recommendations that Jim had in yellow and green. The document that the SREC adopted was the document that you sent me right at the beginning of the meeting, and that's the document that's on the screen right now. I mean, I'll go back to my email and pull it up if we need to, but you know, I carefully checked, and that half sentence was left out. I'm going to open that email. So
The notice doc. The point is, regardless of it's in, out, the point is the noticed version that we're here about today has that language in it that went out 11 days ago or 10 days ago.
Point of information.
Well, okay, and you and I went through this, and you put some colors in it and underlinings. I know, colors and underlining, right? Colors and underlining. No, the version I sent you, those words are in it, and we just failed to underline and color them. Yeah, we just failed to underline them and color. So when you were going through and doing yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green, we just missed that.
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Yes.
We're all debating who did what when and what document we got when. My question is, why can't we, and I think this follows up on what Leslie was saying, I couldn't hear her, why can't we simply make the changes that we want to make with a 50% vote to correct all of this stuff right now? Why is that against the rules? And Steve, if I heard you right, you're saying, well, it wasn't properly noticed, but we as the committee have a right to amend the document.
With notice.
No. What do you mean with notice? We can amend the document
It's
in the middle
general.
of this.
It's general rule.
So are you saying that we cannot make any changes to what was sent out other than what was already put in?
No,
I can't make a recommendation that say I would like to add a word right here. I can't make any recommendations to change anything.
No.
So I can't make
Yes,
any
ma'am.
changes. So what are we doing?
Hang on. Right. Yep. I agree. I agree. By reading the rules, I agree. Only the ones after this require notice.
I mean, we've got to be able to amend the document. Otherwise, what's the purpose of our having our meeting? Let's go ahead and adjourn.
Well, I think what Steve is saying is that we can amend it, but we have to tell people 10 days before we're going to amend it that we're going to amend it. And Leslie just pointed out, and that's my ruling, is that we don't have to do that on this meeting. There was no notice requirement. I sent it to everybody, I guess, since there's no notice requirement, as a courtesy, basically. So you guys could be ready to have this meeting with me.
Okay.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be noticed. So I think we can put those words back in, is what you're
So
saying.
too. I just want to make sure we get the document cleaned up with all the stuff that
Right.
magically somehow got taken out. It would be the height of ridiculousness, I think, for us to not be able to correct the document when we know it's wrong. We all agree it's wrong. That makes no sense at all.
The question is not whether we can correct it. We can. The question is whether we have to have notice or not before we correct
Well,
it.
the question is the timing. And if the notice requirement is what we're going to believe in, what Steve is recommending, then at this meeting, we could not correct any of the things that were inadvertently left off.
Well, we could
So
do
that's what I'm
stuff that was
talking about.
noticed because it's in
Well, I
green.
know, but that's what I'm saying. But there's a lot of stuff that was not noticed that's cropping up, and we couldn't fix those things until some future meeting, and that is patently absurd.
Okay, thank you. Huh? I've already ruled on it. Yeah. So is there, where is it? Is there any objection to adding the words, a written call containing notice of the meeting be added to section 2? Any objection? Okay, go back up to 5.2, notice meetings. Okay. At the bottom,
We are restoring this language.
we are. Without objection. Okay. Now you see the green there, it says, or via email. That was noticed, and that is a changed type of notice. We're agreeing, or if we agree to that, that notice can go out by email. I mean, coming into the 21st century here, because the email's in a lot of other places in the rules and the bylaws. So I just added via email just to make it so that you didn't have to send snail mail every time you send a notice out. Any objection to that? Okay. Go to proxies. Oh, sorry, you're not ready. Let me get ready. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Deborah. Right. Yes. Yes. Without notice, right? That's right. That rule was left out at the convention by accident. Yes, it's a standing rule. Well, I mean, if you're the body will still have to vote it back in, but we don't need notice. Yes. Yes. And it'll have to get a majority vote, and I'm sure it will. So it was, well, we're just doing recommendations that'll go to the body tomorrow. We can, and we're going to get to that. It's at the end of the document. Yeah. I do. Which one are you in?
The end of Article 4, basically. So if we can do action on yellow, it would be that deletion right there.
Where are you? Okay, above meetings.
Maybe page 5 for you.
does the sentence start with?
Yes. I'm trying to find it in the.
Yeah, see, I don't see that in 4.3. I don't see anything about 30 days. Where is that? Do you have two documents pulled up here on the screen? Don't. It's confusing. Just pick the one that has the yellow in it and we'll vote on it. Okay. I did. And we're deleting that? And we want to put it back in. Okay. So if you look on the screen, the yellow at least 30 days prior to the meeting, that yellow language, that was inadvertently deleted, and I want to know if there's an objection to us adding that back in, because then it makes sense if we add it back in. And otherwise, the sentence doesn't make sense. Any objection to that? Sorry, I'm going a little fast, but I'm trying to get you guys out of here. Next. Okay. Now on proxies.
Yeah, you don't have any green there.
No, but I have a selected by the chairman added on proxies in yellow.
So the next one should be this Texas law.
Go back up to number 3 proxies.
Oh, that wasn't it too much.
In the one that went out with the call, it says a proxy committee selected by the chairman.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, just add it in. Okay. All this does is just provide for how the proxy committee is selected, so it's not a wrestling match or a cage fight. You just get selected by the chairman. Any objection to letting the chairman select the proxy committee? Quorum. One final reference to the election code I would like to take out. And you can just say Texas law. It's vague enough where I can dance around that. Any problem with changing Texas election code to Texas law? To be consistent with all of our rules and the rest of the bylaws? Objection? Okay. Sorry?
Yeah,
We're taking it out. Yeah, we're taking it out.
because it was.
All right, here comes one that's more of a substantive change, or at least it's not just grammatical or fixing words that so that things make more sense. It's Article 6, Section 2 on appointive officials. Yes, sir.
Pre-2012.
Sounds like Old English, doesn't it? Thou shalt be the appointive officials. That's just what they're called. Does it really bother you? Like and or bothers me? Is that one of your pet peeves? Or
No ampersand allowed.
no, yeah, ampersand.
Did you want to pick up on this yellow one?
Which in what section?
RPTs. It said state parties and we deleted parties, but we inserted. So at the organizational,
Oh.
but now it reads state RPTs.
Yeah, so again, this was a Scrivener's error. We've changed everywhere it says party. We've changed it to RPT, so this is a non-substantive change. Any objection to making it consistent with RPT? Okay. Yes, sir.
I do have a substantive question. Under section 2, appointive officials, my question is, does the treasurer for the party have activity on the bank account where he deposits and writes checks or any of
I
that?
think so, yeah.
Is that our standard practice? So if it is, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that we're listing him as an appointive official instead of an officer of the party.
Official and officer are synonyms. He's an appointed
Yeah, but-
officer, he's appointed official.
Then why do we have two separate sections in this document about them?
Where's the second one?
We have, if you scroll up, there's something called officers of the party, which is basically the committee, national committee man and committee woman.
Yeah, elected officers, right. Okay.
Yeah. This is, I'm just thinking from a legal perspective, if someone is controlling our money, they're typically an officer of the company.
Well, not in our bylaws, they're an official. And they're an appointed official.
I just want to avoid any legal entanglements.
I think maybe, and I didn't write this back in the old days, I think maybe they actually wanted there to be a distinction between an officer
Yeah.
and an official.
An elected
That's
and somebody
appointed.
who is appointed by
Exactly.
the chair.
Right, right.
Try to keep us out of legal trouble.
Oh, they appreciate that. Okay, so there's a section of this that went out that I wanted to add. In section 2, article 6, point of officials. The last sentence, I want to add in any SREC confirmation required by these bylaws. How? By majority vote of who? Of members present at the meeting when confirmation is considered, unless otherwise provided. 6.2.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Does the sentence after that, no member may, SREC confirmation of officers is by majority vote?
It's redundant.
Okay, thank you. I was going to ask if we'd strike that.
It's redundant, yeah.
So actually, that, when I went back to the organization, that sentence is in the document. So we don't have to do anything. It's in the document.
Okay, moving on. We don't have to do anything.
Enough SREC confirmation. When I went back to the organizational document, it was in the document. So just as there was stuff that was left off that made it back in the suggestion document, there was stuff that we thought was left off that wasn't left off. So we don't have
Yes.
to do anything there.
Okay. Okay.
Let me tell you what happened. What had happened was, when we went to work on cleaning up the bylaws, we picked up the copy that was in effect at the time, which was the bylaws that we adopted at the start of the last biennium. That's the live doc that we worked on. Where we screwed up is when we got ready to publish that doc, and we stood in front of the SREC at the last meeting and said, this is what we're going to do. It was very transparent. The problem is we forgot to merge the two revisions that we had made during that 2 years and put them in the document and notice it, and didn't realize it until Deborah called and says, what rules apply to this committee, to the local consent committee? Well, I went to look to answer her, and the standing rule's gone. Well, immediately everybody thought it was nefarious because Jim didn't like that standing rule, and Jim has done something. Well, Jim didn't do anything. It was a revision issue. So I went in and did a lot of document comparison and got some comparisons to Virgil so we could figure out what got screwed up with a plan to put it back. And so that's where we're at. It was just purely an accident. I'm going to explain this to the full body tomorrow, that this is what happened, and I'll take responsibility. I got pushed. We got to get a document out to the incoming SREC. He was busy. I was busy. I emailed Jim and said, give me your clean copy of your edits that we showed the rules committee and the SREC, and we sent that out, and that's what we adopted. Now, I'll argue with Virgil that it did contain a few words that you don't have, and I don't know why, but my copy does. But the other part of that is me and Stephen Boland, I think we both agree with Leslie now that part of the rule in 8C overrides the bylaw notice requirement for this meeting. I think we can do what we're doing, and I think it would hold up to a point of order. So I say let's fix everything that was broke, and then we can go from there. Yeah, none of this is nefarious. We're just trying to do it the right way, especially because Robin's going to be chairing the meeting, and it'd be really easy to mess with him.
Well, if you had to leave anything out, it would have been Standing Rule 3, right? Which I've been fighting against for the last year. So I would have accused myself of doing that on purpose if I'd seen it, but I didn't. Okay, so back to where we are in committees. 7.3, committee meetings and notice. This is all in there. The last sentence starts with all members are allowed to attend any committee or subcommittee meeting, but do not have the right to vote and may only participate with leave of the committee chairman. Any objection to that? Again, this is sort of an orderly process. Tells you can't vote. You're a member, you can be here. All these people that are members can be here right now, but they can't vote. Yes. It says we have to wrap when we're done. According to my clock. Can it wait, or do you want to do it right at 7C3? Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're moving. The next one is Section 8, duties of the standing committees. Starts with the officials committee, and that's pretty long.
Section 5, yeah, there's a couple.
Again, that's just chairman. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, as determined. Okay, so yeah, so committee voting. Right now, or the way it's said before, was each member of the committee has the right to cast his individual vote. Members' method of voting is by voice or show of hands or ballot, as determined by majority vote. Okay, so who determines what it's going to be? So I added in there determined by the chairman or by majority vote. So if you want to have a roll call vote and the chairman disagrees with you, you can now have the majority vote of the body to have a roll call vote. Or the chairman can just call for a roll call vote without asking anybody's permission. So that's what that change is. Any objection to that? It is. Yeah, just, part of what I'm doing, Matt, it makes sense, part of it. I promise. Yeah. On committee voting, Section 5, I don't know why this is Section 5, Section 5.2. I hate when they don't go A and B. Yeah, we strike the green. And this is, this whole section starts out honorary members. This is national committee man, national committee woman, finance chair, treasurer, general counsel, assistant general counsel, and the secretary, if not an SREC member. Okay, the bylaws say that you cannot be an appointed official if you are on the SREC. So Rachel Hooper cannot be on the SREC because she's general counsel. So all this does is it takes that redundancy out, because other places in there says you can't be a member and be an elected official. So that's all that is, just to strike out the redundancy. Any objection to striking out the redundancy? Okay. Section 8, officials committee, A, 7, vacancies. I think I said this before in another meeting earlier. Since I was working on an older version of this and it had been changed a couple of times, they're what I call false pointers. It says, see Section 8B4. Well, there is no 8B4 anymore. So I had to go back and try to figure out what it was actually supposed to be pointing to and fix it. And so vacancies, that's what that does. It currently says right now, Article 7, Section 8A1, and that's no longer the section that applies. It's now Article 7, Section 8A2 through 4. That took its place. So it's now correct pointer. It's pointing at the right place in the other parts of the bylaws. Any objection to fixing that? On B, we're still in the officials committee. This is preparing the budget after the third quarterly meeting. The officials committee will meet at least 3 times, okay? Were they just going to pick when they meet? No, it's going to be at the call of the chairman. So we're going to add in there how those 3 meetings get called. Any objection to having the chairman call those budget meetings? Somebody's got to do it. Okay. to ratify written contracts concerning 1099 contractors or consultants. I added in and related to because concerning and related to are not synonyms. They mean different things in the law. And concerning means it actually points to a person, and related to means things around and surrounding their employment. So I added in those words just for clarification that we're going to ratify written contracts, not just who gets hired, but all the other terms and conditions of their employment. Any objection to that? And look who showed up. Oh, you have? Oh. When did you get here, Dale? Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yes, and then D, officials committee again, negotiate, ratify contracts concerning compensation. I added if any of the chairman, because if you don't have it in there, then he has to at least get $1. And I haven't been on the committee as long as you guys have. This paying the chairman thing is sometimes a touchy issue, so I just want to make sure that sometimes we can say he doesn't get any money, or she, right? Okay. Any objection to that? Adding in if any. Candidate Resource Committee, this was appointed at the meeting this morning. There's a bunch of rules about that. One of them is in 3C. These are people who are ineligible for appointment to the Candidate Resource Committee. Okay? And it's a whole list of those people. And it says C, it says any person who is a spouse of an elected official or candidate, but all the way through, it's political consultant is also a no-go. So I said a person who's a spouse of an elected official or a political consultant. So you're just broadening the rules to say the wife or husband of a political consultant also cannot be on the CRC. Any objection to that? Just broadens it out. Okay. 6, the Candidate Resource Committee will work with the RPT staff and fellow members to target the most appropriate candidates. It's not a serial listing. It's just 2 things. So you take the comma out and you add the word and. Grammatically, any problem with that? Virgil would do it even if we say it's not, if we don't agree. He's still going to do it. Is there an and or in there someplace? Where? Under 6? Fundraising efforts / ideas. I don't see an and or. In my version that went out to everybody, I took the and / out and it just says or. Yep, so take that out. Take out the and /. Well, if I get editorial authority back. Yeah, you'll take it out, yeah. That's a stupid lawyer language that they were trying to cover their butt with their client in the courts and everything. It's just, or includes and. So you don't have to say both. 7, again, there's just a couple of new correct pointers that are being changed from where you're going to go look for something elsewhere in the bylaws. It used to be 8C1D, and now it's 8C3. It used to be 8C5, and now it's 8C1. So those are just changes to pointers. Next page, number 9, same thing. We just corrected the pointer. And I've octuple checked these pointers now, and I think they actually point where they're supposed to. If you're walking through this thing and you're going to flip back to another article, I think you're going to find what you're looking for. Any objection to changing the pointers to be correct? Okay. Partnerships Coalition Committee. I don't know how this happened. I think Gail Stander, I'm going to blame her. No, just kidding you. We were working on it, and no, you're not going to take blame. I'm just teasing. Partnerships, and this is another lawyer thing, a partnership is a legal entity, right? These are really partners. They're really not partnerships. I mean, but everything in here, the committee's called the Partnership and Coalition Committee. So I had partners in there because that's more legally correct, and I just put partnership back in. So it's all consistent. That's all that is. Any problems calling them partnerships, even though a lawyer will get confused? That might be a good reason to do it, because then you get confused lawyers, and that's always good. Yes, sir. Where are you looking at 2A? If you care to, yeah. What's the why does principles not cover that? Okay, that's an example where TFRW was actually subscribing to our beliefs and principles, but not our legislative priorities. Well, that definitely needs to be fixed then. Yeah.
And I would say principles is, there's a set of principles at the start of the platform.
Right.
And it generally refers to that.
Or did we intend it to be principles more generally? I don't know.
As opposed to the
more
capitalized
general.
ones. Okay. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to include it. Any objection with including legislative priorities after principles? Yes.
I have another amendment to 2A. At the end, I would like to add the following sentence at the end of 2A. Only one group from any demographic.
Hang on a second. Did we all agree that we could add legislative priorities after principles? Any objection to that? Okay. There you go. Okay. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So I want to add a sentence that says only one group from any demographic may be approved for partnership status. Period.
Are you in 2 partnerships?
Yeah, 2A. Yeah.
Am I in the right place?
Yeah, you're in the right place, yeah. And so the reason for this is I was look at who our partners are and think about who's out there, doing different things in the state on behalf of conservatives. For example, there's just a ton of Hispanic groups, a lot of Hispanic groups, but we partner with one group from each demographic, and then if we're really going to partner with them, and if it's going to have any meaning, we should be helping them grow their club, whatever it is, and they should be the main contact for us to reach out to that demographic, because that's what being a partner means. It means that we work with them and they work with us. So if we're going to direct attention to the Hispanic community, or we're going to direct attention to the Black community or any other community, then we should be working with and through the group that is our partner. Yeah, or if we have, it wouldn't make any sense for us to have 17 different Hispanic groups individually that are our partners.
I could argue.
I understand you
We want to get as
could.
many as we can, right?
Well, that's the theory. Then what does it mean to be our partner?
It means
everybody's our partner.
it means you're associating with us and we're supporting you and helping you and you're helping us. And why wouldn't we have more than one?
Because I think if we have one, then that's the person who we're designating to be our partner, and it may put some meaning behind being a partner with RPT, and that's the group that you should join.
Anybody else want to speak to that? Yes, ma'am.
I speak in favor because it would make it more efficient, and here's why. So I'm a homeschooler, and I'm in a homeschool group that we organically came together, and we're just this group. And there's a lot of us homeschool groups all over the state of Texas. But should we want to, we can join the Texas Homeschool Coalition, who does not do our group things that we're doing. They just are like the person that feeds us the law and the policy and helps us with legal matters. So if we go this route, then we will help build these big umbrella groups that all these other groups can help with synergy and help each other with this big group. I know it's not there now for a lot of them, but it would put the infrastructure in place to do this. And it would make it, and then I'm thinking, okay, what if this big group becomes like the evil person and it's trying to keep these little groups, down? And then I'm thinking, well, you know what? Start another bigger group, and they come before the RPT, and then they all of a sudden get named as the partner group, and all these groups can go under them. So I think this is good as a basis to start a more effective way to do our partnerships.
Young Republicans. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm opposed to this.
Okay.
I think that it's antithetical to the purpose of the grassroots, which is very grounds up. We already have the discretion to approve groups or not. And we have discretion to, divorce from groups, so to speak, if we need to. And so I don't think that we should be, I saw that face. We shouldn't be, divorce. Okay. So, but I just think that in order to build a grassroots rounds up party, we need to be inviting to multiple groups. Texas is a big state. We have to use the Hispanic group population, just that demographic, we have a huge Hispanic population that come from different regions of the state, and to say we will only partner with one of you, I think is extremely limiting to potential of having a variety of groups in different parts of the state to work with, different talent, different groups that focus on different things. There are so many different moving parts to what we do as the Republican Party of Texas, and why would we limit help and just completely just say that we are not going to work with different groups because this is the select group and the only one that we. I mean, it just doesn't, to me, bode well to growing our party.
Thank you. Ms. Burnett.
Chuck Burnett, SD20. I agree with Kristen. I live in South Texas, deep South Texas, so there are many Hispanic and so on groups. There's HRT and Texas Life. There's all these groups. I think it's good to have all these groups supporting our legislative priorities if they do want to partner with us. And if you choose one group, say, well, we're going to accept you, but nobody else, that's a pretty good way to make other groups mad. Say, you all have to switch over to this group. So I do stand against this. I think it's good to let as many groups as want to apply to us to partner with us and help us support our legislative priorities, principles, and so on.
Does anybody else want to speak to this?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
I'm absolutely opposed to this. I agree with Kristen. To use Leslie's analogy, there are several good homeschool groups out there. And people join those groups for different reasons than just politics. And maybe it's services that they offer. One that she mentioned also has a C4. They have a lobbying arm. And so you might not agree with some of the positions they're lobbying on. So they go to the other group for their homeschool support. And then this is true of any different type of group. And I think we're absolutely shooting ourselves in the foot and leaving people out in the cold that said, we'd love for you to come into the fold with the Republican Party too. If you would only join this group, you could be a partner. But as long as you're a member of this one, I'm sorry, that group's not going to get to join. We're leaving a lot of folks that, we're picking and choosing winners in that deal. And I can get the intent, because we can create a mess potentially with a group that may agree with our legislative priorities, but there may be other things that don't necessarily have to do with their political involvement that maybe we don't agree with or somebody else does. Not to be all inclusive, but I think we just leave a group of people out there that kind of in the cold, and then they feel like they need to move just because they can be a partner with the Republican Party.
Well, and every partnership still has to get approved by the committee and the SREC, right?
True.
Okay. Go ahead. You want
So,
to finish up?
to sort of answer some of the objections that have been brought up, first of all, I would say it's not like there are a diverse group of folks who have been clamoring to become partners, and that our putting this rule in place is going to shut out a bunch of people who are just dying to be our partners. It won't do that because we don't have a lot of people clamoring to be our partners. But the reason that it makes sense is because it will create, if we are able to, and this is what I believe partners and coalitions should be doing, become something that is desirable from groups and that they want to become our partners, and we need to provide content and we need to provide help from RPT so that we become a desirable entity to partner with, which I know that the different committees, whether it's volunteer or partnerships and coalitions or platform advocacy, or what the chair announced with RPT University, if we start providing more things for them and it becomes more desirable, then it makes it more of a competitive thing and more prestigious, where if you're one of our partners, that has meaning to it. Right now, people on our SREC have tried to dissolve the entire committee because they say it brings no value. So if we're going to create a situation where it brings value, we want to make it desirable, and this will do that. And it's true that people from individual clubs have their own reasons, and there will be lots of different clubs. Having partnership status isn't the be all and end all of whether or not we will collaborate with you. You're free to do it at the county level. You're free to do it individually. You're free to do it as an SREC member within your district, but the status of being a partner with the entire organization is different, and I think we should only have one so that we can focus our efforts on that demographic through an entity. I think if we can't really focus your efforts if you're going through a lot of different entities. It's a little counterintuitive to having an organization that tries to drive change through a specific group. And the idea of a partnership is you have somebody that you go to when you're trying to address that group. So that's what I'm trying to do, is establish a group for each demographic so that we can go through them to drive our message out and get them to work with us. And if we leave it open where there's just, whoever, we can have 1,000 partners, it becomes unmanageable and therefore unmeaningful.
Can I ask you a question, Matt? How are you going to define demographic?
I'm not. I'm going to leave that up to Partners in Coalition. But I think there's some broad understanding of what demographics would be. So I wouldn't have included homeschoolers as a demographic, but clearly it is. So if you're interested in the homeschooler space, that'll be a demographic. I mean, it could be game designers or become a demographic that we address in the future. And we would only have one game designer.
Could be age, could be sex, could be race, could be religion.
It could be different things, yeah. So whatever that group is identifying itself as, if it's a Hispanic group, then clearly that is the Hispanic demographic. If it's an age-based group, people between the ages of 60 and 65, that's an age demographic. So we would only have one club there.
Well, I'm not being sarcastic, but so you got young Hispanics, you got non-young Hispanics, you got Catholic Hispanics, you got evangelical Hispanics. Is that four different demographics? I mean, like you say, you're going to leave it to the committee, obviously, to decide what that means.
So my answer to that, and I'm not on the committee.
Well, you're sponsoring this language, so that's what I'm asking
on
you.
the committee.
Yeah.
But my answer to that is, if you're using more than one standard or one item to describe your classification, then you have to pick one that you're going to identify with.
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise you could have 7 different modifiers and become such as targeted specific, demographic, that you'd be the only one in that demographic. And that's not the way to do it. You pick one, whatever it is, that's your demographic.
Yeah, thank you. We didn't put any limit on how many of these going to do, but you guys have both spoken before, so I'll let you cage fight who gets to speak one more time.
There is no limiting debate in a committee, by the way, Mr. Chairman. There is
Just
no
trying to get
calling
us out of here
question.
before the sun goes up. Thanks.
Well, I'm going to speak, and I think
Are
you
you
should
gonna
let Kristen too.
yield? Are you going to yield to the gentle lady?
I wasn't, but go ahead.
Okay, thank
You're gonna steal my thought here, and it's going to support you. You
Okay.
just shoot yourself in the foot. I want you to know.
So again, I think one of I would argue we always talk about, well, what is our purpose? Our main purpose is to grow our party, advance our platform. And I don't know how you do that when you limit your partnerships by demographic. As chair of a subcommittee on legislative priorities, Stop Sexualizing Texas Kids, I have a variety of subcommittee members from a variety of parent organizations throughout this state. That has been extremely valuable in growing, extremely valuable, not just in being able to debate ideas and, come up with policy solutions, but also in growing an army of parents from across the state to support our legislative priorities. If I were limiting my subcommittee on legislative priorities to one parent group, I would not be able to have a grassroots army that pushes legislation in the session where we get big wins. And it is the same thing when you limit partnerships, you are disenfranchising all these other groups and talent that could be out there that could be the potential to grow our party and advance our platform. We don't need to limit our base. We don't need to limit the grassroots and organizations across the state that may pop up. There may be a Hispanic group in Northeast Texas up in my district. There might be one, there's multiple ones down in Chuck's district. We don't need to limit them and say, you have to, in order to partner with us, you have to be with this one group for Hispanics, because that's the only group that we're gonna work with. We have the choice already to limit who we partner with based on, and we should really specify certain criteria in order, that they have to meet and have a process and a procedure there. So we can already just work with one group if that's what we really want to do, but to put it in, the rules that we aren't working with any other group except for one Hispanic group or one parent group, or, whatever that demographic is, it's too limiting. It's too limiting.
To Matt's point, if there's not a whole bunch of people knocking down our doors to join, then why are we fixing a problem when there isn't one? The other point I'll make is this, mechanically, if we're going to exercise this, are we going to come back to a meeting and amend something previously adopted and dissolve our partnership with one to pick up one that may came along and looked better? Can you imagine the optics on that? That would look horrible. So I think we're trying to fix something where there's no problem exists here.
Anybody else want to speak to this, for or against?
I'm sorry, I'm for doing this because
Yeah, I'm gonna you're not a committee member, I'll let you speak anyway, go ahead.
who? What, I'm not tall enough to speak?
No, you're not, you don't have the right status to speak, but you're gonna get to, because I'm gonna let you.
Okay, Jerry Fisher, SD2. I've done little R's, okay? Because I think this is a great idea because, as we all know, the YRs now are YRs all over Texas. And we're not saying, well, you can't be a member, you can't be a partner because you're not a YR. Well, yes, you can. That's like all the Hispanics right now. We don't have where we have a specific Hispanic group, but we're not excluding the other groups. They can all join, be a partner as a Hispanic group, right, Matt?
No, he's saying that one demographic only.
One demographic, right. So I'm all for it. I think that's a great idea.
Anything else? Oh, Deborah, you want to speak? Go ahead.
Definitely for growing SB7. I'm all for growing the party, but I don't want to get away from we are all Republicans and getting into too many subsections. So I've always kind of been on the fence with the partners and coalitions in that, I just think we need to all be united as Republicans. So, maybe if we had it and had subcommittees, but diversifying too much may not make it away from we are the party.
So you're in favor of Matt's proposal again? Anybody else going to take a vote? I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Patrick, are you going to move for your adoption of your change? Do you have a second? Okay. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion fails. Okay. Yep. Yeah, so this is now, we got a partnership picked out, however we did it. And in order for the organization to become a partnership, the organization must apply in writing or by email to the committee chair requesting partnership status at least 14 days before the next regularly scheduled quarterly SREC meeting. That stops people from coming to our meeting and saying, hey, I want to be a member. I mean, they got to at least have some foresight is the point there. Yes, sir. So they can just come into the SREC meeting and just walk in and say, I want to be a partner? Says they have to apply in writing, or by email to the community chair. They have to apply to be a partnership. So when do they do that? Well, this says that you guys are going to have 14 days notice before the meeting, that somebody's going to come in and ask to be a partnership. Is that a problem? Do they have a problem with that? I'm just giving some structure to it so that it's doesn't get pounced on you the day of the SREC meeting is all. That's all. To this point, yes.
Galen Devine, SD11. I serve on that committee, and I served on that committee last time. All of the partners and coalitions that are currently were done by invitation. So the 14-day requirement to put a stipulation on someone coming in, we did have like some change of leadership in some groups. And so that would prohibit them from being able to do it at that meeting and push it to another meeting if we put a restriction on that committee that they've got to apply or got to send their documents in 14 days in advance. So
Okay.
that's why respectfully we did not have that in there. That was not a committee recommendation from last year. So it just appeared in there, and we would respectfully
Guilty.
ask,
Yeah, I put it in.
okay, that it not be in there.
Because I noticed that they do still have to apply in
Yes.
writing
Yes.
to the chairman.
They do.
So if it's by invitation, they wouldn't be applying, they would be invited.
They do still apply.
Okay.
Yeah, they do still apply. They send their bylaws. They send answers to a questionnaire.
Right,
So they do
right, there's
still
all kinds of stuff they have to
technically
send.
apply.
Right. But you want them to be able to do it at the SREC meeting instead of in advance.
Right. We want them to be able to do it without that 14-day restriction.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak to this? Do I have a motion to add the 14-day notice provision to the bylaw? Huh. Fails for no motion. Okay. All right. Yeah, we got an and/or in there. We have 30 paren 30 close paren. No, it's 30 days. Okay. Is there any objection to taking out the and slash in E1? Is there any objection to taking out the redundancy, spelling it out 30 and the number 30 in E2? It's cleaned up. And get it on the next meeting, I guess. Steve, this is only, or Matt, this is only changing 30 written out in letters and 30 written out in numbers, and we're just doing one or the other. It is. It is. Or includes and. If you just say or, it includes and. Where did you go to school? Homeschool. That was cold. Yeah.
Which we actually did in the RPT rules with the remaining and/or was to say A or B or both.
I know, and that's even worse. Yeah. Pickle principle, fewer words, better language, right? And then also in E2, there's the word of. It should say after. 30 days of the meeting, that's archaic. 30 days after the meeting. Anybody have a problem with that? Okay. E7, it says that the partnership has to attend at least one SREC quarterly meeting. The whole partnership has to come in, or can they send a representative? So I added in there, they have to attend through a representative. So somebody has to come and speak for their partnership, but they don't have to have all 175 Tarrant County homeschoolers show up at the SREC meeting. Anybody have a problem with adding that they can do it through a representative? Another one of Jim Pickle's pet peeves is in F. If any RPT funds are dispersed to a partnership, that partnership must, change shall to must. Any problem with that? Okay, good. Yes. In coalitions? Okay. Okay. Okay, so they could be neutral on them, in other words. Right. Oh, gotcha. Right. Does anybody have any problem with that change? I think it's a good one.
And I know this doesn't read shall anymore. I haven't gotten that yet. Oh, go ahead. So oppose would go to work against?
No, it's in coalitions. It's in 3. Coalition 3B4. Right there. Must not work against. Take out the word not oppose. Well, take out the word oppose. Right. Right. That is right, right? Correct? Okay. Does anybody have any problem making that change? Okay. 3D, talking about money again, my favorite topic. If RPT funds are dispersed to a coalition, the coalition partners must file an accounting satisfactory to the committee of the use and disposition of such funds, and the request for those funds must be approved by the SREC. These coalitions are going to spend our money. I think we should be approving it. I'm in coalitions 3D. This is adding language, and it is substantive because it's now going to require that they get permission to spend the funds or to actually receive the funds. Request for funds must be approved. Any problem with that? Okay. Okay, we only have about 3 more hours to go, so hang in there. Yeah, well, I knew you were about to say that. That's why I just said. Okay. Election Integrity Committee, next page. Number 2, eligibility and vacancies. Says non-voting members, plural. At the end it says, and serves. No, members don't serves. Members serve. So that's a Virgil correction. It's just tense. Eligibility I2, eligibility and vacancies A. We took out serves and added serve just to make it.
Did we want to pick up on the blue language that Steve had some going up back to resolutions committee? In F?
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Which we can add it back this time without notice.
Do you want to speak to that? Is it already up there? Okay. Does anybody have any objection to fixing Steve's mistake and putting this language back in? I sure don't, because he's saving my butt over and over again. So yeah, I don't have any problem with it. Anybody have an objection to putting that language back in that somebody left out? Probably me. Okay, that's good. Election Integrity Committee. Okay. Sure. Well, that's way back up. Okay. Yeah, it's way back up. Well, B's the Finance Committee. Where are we? Party organization? It's D. Yeah. What's in there? 'Cause I don't have it on mine.
Complicated answer. I mean, this is what's in there right now. So.
Okay. 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 That Finance Committee, Article 8, or finances. This is finances for the RPT, not committees anymore. Campaign Fund, Section B. Got this campaign fund of money that people have donated. The fund will be utilized exclusively for the purpose of participating in direct campaign activities of Republican candidates for election to the public offices of the United States, state of Texas, or any unit or subdivision thereof. I just added the words as appropriate. Anybody have a problem with adding as appropriate in there? Is there more limiting factor on that utilization of funds? Any problem? Objection? Okay, that's good. Same Article 8, Finance, Section 1C. Again, there were some false pointers that were fixed. Does anybody have any problem fixing the false pointers? Going once, going twice. All right, in Section 3, fiscal, neither the chairman nor any other officer, right now it says employee or representative of the RPT. I also added in the word member, which is all of us. So now it would read, if it's corrected, neither the chairman nor any other officer, member, employee, or representative of the RPT may borrow money in the name of the RPT. So I can't go out and sign a note for the RPT. So I'm a member of the RPT, I can sign notes or sell property. Is there any objection to adding members into that limitation of who can borrow money? That passes. And then amendment of bylaws? Yeah, we're not there yet. That's where I'm coming right now. Oh, okay. I can't see, yeah, back of my head, yeah. Okay. I know, but that's like, you want to strike something out of amendment of bylaws? It's Article 11. You mean amendment of bylaws? Okay. You want to strike and replace? Okay, and what's the replacement language? Is it in there? Okay. Okay, was that in the call? I'm just asking, or these people need to read it. That's all. Okay, well, if it wasn't in the call, then nobody's read it yet, so I want to read it too. So.
Let me tell you why I want to do this.
Okay.
It's an unintended thing that we did a while back that I just caught recently. So we added a pathway for all rule changes to come through this committee, but also added a similar clause to resolutions that said the floor could, a majority could suspend it and take stuff right to the floor. Well, the way it was written, a majority could suspend the notice requirement too, because it made it possible for them to suspend the whole bylaw. We don't want to do that. So I divided into Section 1, which is the proper scope of notice, and then Section 2 is the pathway to suspend it on the floor, but it only suspends Section 2, so our bylaws don't just go absolutely nuts with no notice when somebody figures out they could have actually suspended the whole bylaw.
Okay. Anybody want to speak to that? Okay. All the bylaws, they can only change the notice provision. Okay. What do you think, Matt? Good? Read it? Okay. Matt approves it. I'm good with it. Steve approves it. Anybody want to talk about this any further? Objections? Okay. Adopted by acclamation. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Deborah. Yes. Thanks, Steve. Then, of course, we have the language at the very end where we talk about the dates when all this stuff has been done, and we would add that in, right? And we come to the standing rules. We're almost done. Hang in there. On the standing rules. Okay. Okay, so we want to add a provision in the bylaws called, it's editorial control, which expressly gives Virgil the authority we give him every single meeting, which is Virgil can fix spelling errors, grammar, punctuation, take out the and/ors, the shalls. He can do all that kind of stuff without having another meeting where we all have to sit and get around and vote to it. Does anybody have any problem just making this a regular standing rule so we don't have to come to it every meeting? Yes. Now we're putting it back in, right? And then Article 3, disclosures. This is the part that got left out, correct? Okay. Okay. 3. Technically orange. We don't have any more yellow in the document. Yeah, it's orange.
It's light gold number 2, actually.
We took all the yellow out because it was confusing. So that's it right there.
It's orange on my screen.
What we had a bylaw and a standing rule to accomplish all this. Well, the rule is in the general rules. It says you have to do that. So we just combine it with the standing rule and says this is how we're going to do it. Comply with the general rule.
So it's a mechanism for doing what we're already required to do, which doesn't have a mechanism in it. Any problem with that? Adding that in? Okay. No objection. Yes, sir. Nope. Haven't got to that yet. Kristen Bentley's not going to let me sleep through that, trust me. About the local candidate thing. I said, you're not going to well, you might have let me sleep through it then. Yeah. Could have just been out of here already. Move it. What do you mean? Are you going to move for this change to be put back in? Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor of adding back in the language I left out last time that was already in there forever? Say aye or raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, passes. Now you can go tell Rolando that he got his language back. Oh, there he is. Hi, Rolando. Which four? Standing row 4?
Capitalize that L.
May I propose an amendment that every 4th meeting be in Maui? With it, all in favor? I withdraw my motion. Too late. Too late. That's right. That was amendment to amendment. It's out of order. Okay, so what's happening now? What's being proposed? Everybody read the green. This is just when the legislature is in session, we can leave Austin. Right? Oh, when it's not in session, we can leave Austin? Oh, we have to stay here when it's in session? Does anybody have any objection to adding this language in where we can go someplace else as long as the legislature is not in session one time a year? Any objection? All right.
You're striking one time a year.
And more than one time a year. Yeah. At the chair. Well, I think that was the idea. It was central, and so most of the time we come here. Once in a while we kind of venture out, and but I think it's up to the chairman because right. Well, does anybody have any problem giving the chairman the option of where he calls the SREC meetings? That's right. Do we? And it's just an excuse now that it saves the staff travel time? Okay. Well, yeah, we're gonna vote on whether we change the language to allow the chair full discretion on all 4 meetings, except when the legislature session has to be here. Anybody want to talk about that? Anybody want to propose a motion to change it? Call for a motion to change that language? Yeah. Okay, do we have a second? Second. Any discussion on this proposed amendment? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Unanimous, passes. He got that second in so quick that I cut him off on the.
Jim, I'm doing a quick run through to make sure we got all the. Why don't we do that?
You'll be excused in just a moment. Hang on.
Once a meeting calls gone out, once Jen has organized something, we can't change that at that point. We're stuck with 17. I mean, there's no way to do that. And we usually know, especially 16, she's not going to do that.
And it's still at the discretion of the chair.
Still his discretion. We got
And let me just clear this up because we're live streaming and everything. I just want to make sure I cover all the bases. Does anybody have any problems with me fixing the pointer references to be accurate in the entire document? Okay. No objection? Okay.
I mean, I'm going to be very cautious in my use of that if that rule passes.
Any more business before the committee? So moved.